And we are live. It is Thursday, August 20th, I believe it is. Days are blurring still. This is our second episode doing live for Scumbags Wrestling, and this is actually episode number 115 if you've been following us from the start. And so, like I said last week, we have a little bit of a different format. We're going to go through some news and then this week in history. And because this weekend is SummerSlam and NXT Takeover weekend, we're going to do predictions for that. But before we get doing all that, we are going to bring in our panel, which includes from Toronto, Steven. How are you today?
I'm great. Look what I'm rocking.
And he's got the Scumbags Wrestling t-shirt. Mine's in the laundry, but you can get yours like Steven for $30 or the poster for $15, supporting a great charity of Sick Kids Hospital and Steven's wrestling journey. Other than that, we're going to bring in Jonesy from Niagara Falls. How are you, Jonesy?
I am great. I am fantastic.
How are things in the falls? Crazy?
Not bad. I was down there yesterday. Actually walked up the hill for the first time since they reopened everything, and I wouldn't go there unless you want to catch something. It's just not set up right.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of places, even grocery stores. I was just at a little while ago with my wife, and it's like, oh, magically, because the law says you have to wear a mask, everything else is out the window, and there's no limits of how many people are in buildings anymore, it seems, because that magical mask is going to protect you. Same with Costco. It's crazy. Steven, you look like you were about to say something.
Oh, the numbers are out the window. We're not going to go there because Steven's going to go on a rant and we'll curse and swear a lot.
And it's supposed to be a good week because there was no AEW last night. That's coming up on Sunday. But unfortunately, like last week, we started off talking about a death of Kamala. This week, we have another death, and it's unfortunately Xavier from Ring of Honor. He was the second ever world champion. He was just 42 years of age. He won the title from Low Key, which actually was one of the bases for starting Ring of Honor. And then I guess he was supposed to be part of the past versus present show that Ring of Honor was going to do prior to COVID shutting down the world, and he was supposed to take on Jay Lethal. Unfortunately, at this time, from the last report that I saw, they weren't sure what he passed away from. But at 42 years of age, I'm older than that, and that's kind of crazy to know that somebody is dying younger than me. And it's happened a lot of times throughout the wrestling world. Did any of you guys see Xavier as Ring of Honor champ?
Yes, vaguely. I don't remember a little bit of them, but I was excited for the past versus present shows they were going to do. But very vaguely, you're going back, or I want to say early 2000s, or he was ROH champion.
Yeah, it was probably about that time. Well, obviously when Ring of Honor first started, because he did take it off low key. After he got out of wrestling, I believe it was about 2004 or 5, he got into judo and mixed martial arts that way, and hadn't been really seen on the wrestling scene until this card that was supposed to come up against Jay Lethal. So unfortunately, he's passed away, and rest in peace to Xavier. Which takes us to our Ontario Indie News. There's not too much about it right now, though New School Wrestling this past Saturday did drive-ins, dives, and
drop kicks. Drive-in, dives, and drop kicks.
Yeah, and they actually had some matches going on. I guess even one of the matches that was unexpected included the part of the 12-hour psychotic Michael against The Rock. and the falls were it's a falls count anywhere Ironman 12-hour or 12-day match, and I think I saw the numbers were up to 37 to 35, just with the craziness that's going on with that, and that's part of Backyard Wrestling, the last Backyard on the right. Episode 2 is happening right now on YouTube, and they're looking for people to sponsor basically that whole group with Holden Albright, Von Vertigo, Gabriel Ferweza, Alexia and Nicole, and all that group of friends. They've been the ones putting together this Backyard Pro second season, which is actually episode number 4 is happening tonight, and then next Thursday on YouTube. So you can definitely check that out. That's happening on the independent wrestling scene. There's also going to be Hamilton Wrestling
Entertainment,
yeah. Putting on a show next weekend, I think.
I thought it was this weekend.
Or this weekend.
I thought it was Saturday because I thought about going.
Yeah, so that's happening this weekend. Alpha One is going to be putting on a show. They're still playing around with some of what they can and can't do legally because as far as unless things have changed, at last I heard, things like wrestling and judo, like contact sports, were not cleared in the context of the regulations of opening Ontario up. So how they're getting around it, who knows? I know No Ring North also did a show this past weekend in an undisclosed location, and they were filming for YouTube as well. Calaboon and Shiloh were part of that recording, along with, I believe it's Warhead, who's heading that up. So, yeah, that's yet to come out. Just a little bit of underground things going on here and there before things totally pop up. Also, Cody Diener for the month of July and finishing up this month. He's been doing his Giver for Charity and raising funds for Lansdowne Children's Center. And so there's still time to buy merchandise through Cody to help out Lansdowne. And also, the other day, Tyson Dukes dropped episode number 3 of the Hammerlock podcast. And it looks like he's it's more in the line of helping people who want to become professional wrestlers or just fans in general, looking back at some of the greatest matches and ring psychology. And he listed this week's episode, which is featuring Rick Martel against Ric Flair in All Japan, as somewhat homework for the week. And so I know when I stopped by Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory, he was telling his students to watch certain wrestling just to get a feel for what the talent were doing. And when his son was getting started and was going with Frankie War as a potential tag team at that time, they were told to watch demolition matches. So you can see where some of the influences are. And he definitely is one for the fundamentals of wrestling and more chain wrestling than anything. So that's why Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid from Raw was on episode number 1. Episode number 2 was about Kamala, and then this week is Flair and Martel from All Japan. So a lot of things going on, but not so much going on that it used to be. But things are slowly going. You said you were thinking about going to Hamilton, Stephen?
Yeah, it's a GO train. It's 45-minute GO train, I think. It's like $12 to go. I thought about going. We'll see.
Well, if you end up making it there, we can report on it on our next episode.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, do I get up and buy a ticket?
Yeah, understandable. So normally we would be talking about results and AEW and stuff like that, but it really isn't any AEW news this week because thanks to TNT and their basketball with the NBA, it got bumped. It's like how WWE used to get bumped for the Westminster Dog Show and the U.S. Open. And so they're going to be doing it on Saturday at 6 o'clock. I believe TSN is going to be showing it on their website and their Go app at 6 o'clock, but you can get it at 10 o'clock on TV, which will be basically after NXT gets done. So you have a whole evening of NXT and AEW to look forward to on Saturday, followed by SummerSlam on Sunday. But what has happened is AEW did do their Deadly Draw show with the women's tag team. Jonesy, you were saying you saw the Dark earlier. Did you catch any of the women's Deadly Draw shows? They're only about 40 minutes in length.
No, I know I watched a recent episode of Dark, but I don't recall them even talking about that.
Yeah, they really haven't.
But then again, I kind of half tune out when I'm watching it. So
understandable, but they really haven't done too much promotion for this thing that seemed like it was going to be hopeful for the women's division that definitely needed to get jump started because there's so many green talent, and they were doing a mixture of ladies and drawing different colored balls, and if your balls matched, then you were a tag team. And it looked like they were going to at one point have Nyla Rose, I thought, dominate the whole thing, and that was just going to be a shtick for her to dominate and advance that way. But they got rid of her in the first round by putting her with the former Cameron of the Funkadactyls in WWE. But when you look at the matchups that they've had, it's come down in the finals, which will happen on Saturday, just out of the blue, because nobody's going to know why these women are going against each other on Dynamite. But it's the Nightmare Sisters, Allie and Brandy, going against Ivorlise and Diamante, who are also a tag team. So the mix-up rule that they were putting out front and trying to see if the makeshift tag team was going to do anything really fell by the wayside and was wasted.
Let's get real. This was for Brandy to get on TV, and so she will look good. And I'm calling it now. Allie's going to probably turn on her, or there's going to be something screwy, and it's going to be an accident, and it's
yeah. It seems to be the unfortunate thing. And it's almost a win-loss situation because you got people like the Young Bucks and Cody and Omega who are in a position of power, but they're not doing their regular stuff. But Cody ended up getting himself the TNT title to make up for the fact that he's not going for the world title. And it looks like Brandy's going to try and put herself over. And the Young Bucks haven't put themselves over yet, but it's bound to happen. And if Omega gets his head out of his ass and starts wrestling like people saw in Japan, then he's going to be over. And so while people are complaining that they're not doing what they should do, they're going to complain that they're doing too much. So,
well, the problem is Omega's booking the women's division. The Young Bucks are booking the tag division, and Cody is basically booking the single men. There's no continuity. It's dumb. It's frustrating. I hate watching it. I'm stress eating thinking about Saturday having to watch horseshit wrestling.
Yeah, well, then you see Jimmy Corderas almost every Thursday. His ref and rant for the minute or two that he does is always about the bad reffing that goes on there. Like they say they want to be different than WWE, but then they're a joke at the same time. And we talked about it the other day on Fantasy Warfare Tournament that hopefully FTR are going to be able to break that mold and straighten up the tag team division. But if the Young Bucks are the ones running it behind the scenes, then it might just be a lost cause.
Might be a lost cause?
Well.
It's a lost cause. It's just a matter of how big of a disaster it is every week.
Yeah.
Every week they tend to top themselves. It's kind of amazing. When you don't think they could get any worse, they do.
So just want to quickly run through some of the other news before the big news of what's happening tomorrow and going forward with WWE. But WWE Network has added some classic indie wrestling to their network, including Evolve, WXW, ICW, and Progress. That's been rumored for a while. They finally pulled that trigger on the weekend. Hopefully, we'll see some of the Smash versus Progress or WXW stuff that they did coming up. Any of that interest you, Jonesy?
I'd take a look at it.
I think it might be here. So
I was watching some guerrilla warfare wrestling or whatever it's called, and seeing Walter and God, they were all big guys in a triple threat match. But I'll watch any wrestling. It's usually the first couple matches that make me decide whether I want to watch that brand, whether it's because of commentating, camera work, whatever.
I'm assuming you watch Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and I feel bad for you.
Actually, I pro wrestling. I don't care about really the commentating. It's the wrestling. The wrestling to me is pretty good. I haven't really seen a terrible match yet. Watching that, I haven't watched it all, but I mean, I like the fact that they have big names in the indies that go to this one place, and you get to see tons of different guys wrestling each other before they make it big, or even after they make it big. So I like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
Wait till you see the fake hand grenade spot or the thumb in the ass spot.
Well, with comedy wrestling, for me it depends. If it's a constant comedy wrestling, then I don't want to just constantly watch that stuff. But if they're doing still good moves and that, I can deal with the comedy. But to me, the comedy wrestling is more for a live crowd. And if there's not people there, why do it? What, for the camera? No, wrestling right now to me should be gritty as shit, should be like stripped down. You don't need all the flashy lights and all that crap. Just concentrate on wrestling and entertaining people. You don't need all that flashy crap.
That's how you can tell you haven't watched AEW, because it's all comedy. They think they're a Saturday Night Live sketch, I think. No, Jonesy, it's bad.
I've seen some of it, but I think the reason why there's a lot of comedy wrestling right now is because indie wrestling got so hot, and in indie wrestling, they do more stuff for the live crowd, which is the goofy shit stuff for kids or whatever, which again, I don't mind as long as you got some good matches in there and there's a point where they stop doing the silly stuff.
That's why in Smash, when you Smash, you can get away with a Psycho Mike and a Cody Deaner every match in there, because you look at the rest of the card. There's 7 matches. There might be 1, maybe 2 comedy matches. So that leaves 5 to 6 solid matches where you're blown away.
And it's entertainment for the whole family at that point. And yeah,
I'm not a comedy fan. I don't know if you haven't noticed. I'm not a big comedy wrestling fan, but Psycho Mike is kind of the edge of my
acceptance.
Because he looks like a professional wrestler. I wasn't a big fan of the Magic Lamp or the Conscience part in Smash. That's not that. But you put him in the ring, he looks like a professional wrestler. He is an amazing wrestler. The Conscience and the Magic Lamp were too much for me. He had a Conscience that he wrestled, and he had a Magic Lamp.
Yeah.
And I wanted to slip my wrist every time it happened, because it's not for me.
I seen him wrestle The Rock, so.
Yeah, see, and I won't watch that.
I
won't watch.
For me, that's funny to watch, but do I want to watch a rematch of that? No. Do I want to watch? there's got to be a point where you go back to serious. That's why with with ones like AEW and all that, have your more family comedy show, and then your main show should be half if you want to do comedy and the other half good stuff. My favorite matches to watch are actually the real hardcore fluorescent tube crap that is in Japan. I love that stuff.
Well, you won't be getting that in AEW much anymore because one of the other notes that I forgot to mention with AEW is they just got rid of Jimmy Havoc along with B. Priestley and Sadie Gibbs. And WWE got a lot of backlash on getting rid of all their talent that they did to save up money and that weren't being used, and now they're all scattered mostly at Impact. But nobody's really said much about AEW releasing people. So it's a little bit hypocritical, I think, of people.
Shocking. Dave Meltzer's like, no, it's okay. They're over in England. No. I also am not sad Jimmy Havoc's gone. I hope we never see him on wrestling again because he was just cutting his arms up. And B. Priestley and
Sadie Gibbs,
they both have big futures. They're both green. They both need they both would fit into NXT. Give them time behind the scenes. I mean, we'll see what Saturday brings. I'm assuming it's going to be a shit show.
So, well, speaking of NXT, Velveteen Dream ended up returning last week and ended up getting into the ladder match that's going to happen on Saturday. There's been talk about the fact that he was, I guess, brought up with giving pictures possibly to a minor, and he said that there was going to be an investigation, third party, and that he denies it. And all of a sudden, he disappeared. He's back, and Triple H was interviewed about stuff going on, and that subject with Patrick Clark got brought up, and he basically said that his absence had nothing to do with the accusations and that he was in a car accident, and that's why he's back. But they didn't even address the fact that if an investigation did happen, he's clear, that's why he's back too.
No, he did say in a different interview that they had the investigation and it basically came back. I don't want to use the exact words that it wasn't true, but it wasn't enough evidence or something. Now there's a petition going around, fire the Dream.
Yeah, so it's sort of like Matt Riddle, where that didn't happen either. In his case, it was a stalker.
Here's the thing: it was Matt Riddle. Clearly, it started as a consensual adult relationship, turned into something crazy woman. It sounds like Velveteen Dream was sending inappropriate pictures to minor boys and minor girls. Can't do that.
Yeah, but I guess whatever happened, he's cleared of all that and is back and going to be part of the ladder match on Saturday. Goldberg has said that he has still 2 more matches per year for 2021 and 2022. Do we care? Should he just go away? Or
you know what match he should be in? He should be in a Survivor Series match with a team, because that way he'll be there more than a couple minutes in a match, and he could be the hot tag, man, the hot tag.
Get covered up.
I assume that it's going to be tag matches.
It probably was supposed to be Saudi Arabia shows, so since it was supposed to be 2 a year with them as well.
I would think so, or some sort of...
Because the Crown Prince loves his nostalgia guys, including wanting Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna to be there.
Yeah. Sure. Bring them back.
They're hard guys to get, man.
Yeah. They've been incognito for a while. Non-communication. New Japan is going forward with their G1 tournament, and that's going to start next month, September 19th.
You missed something about AEW.
Which is that?
The 27th, 26th. I have to look up the date. They're letting 10% of fans back into their shows at Daly's Place.
Yeah, I noticed that on my way home from work. That popped up on me, and was going to get to that. But yeah, 10%, $30 a ticket. One should hope in a way that they are further back and let the talent be on the floor if they're going to still have talent there. And that way they're not just putting fans in there that can basically hijack the show.
No, it's the orchestra, so the main floor and the first section of seats, there's no fans. It's in the second section and the balconies. But there's only 10% clusters of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Depending on who all shows up together, yeah.
Well, no, you have to buy your tickets ahead, and it's in clusters of 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
Oh, okay.
And they've showed the map on, and it's. I'm sure they will get the TV time, but I think this is them trying to counteract WWE's.
Yeah, also Mike Tyson's exhibition fight with Roy Jones was scheduled for September 12th. It's now been moved to November 28th. So this now frees him up to possibly show up at All Out and be involved with Jericho again. Do you see that happening?
No, I think they realized that was a shit show.
Let's hope so.
I think they thought that was a good idea until they got all the negative. What is this from? What are we going back like 20 years? Like,
what's Dennis Rodman doing? They should get him.
Well, I know at this point. I mean, Jericho couldn't carry Mike Tyson to something watchable. He couldn't carry Orange Cassidy to something watchable, and Orange Cassidy's a wrestler. But Mike Tyson, that would be a disaster if they put him in the ring. If they're going to do anything, I'd assume maybe some sort of enforcer for...
That would work.
1-1 for Jericho Cassidy. So you would assume that they would have a third match at some point.
Yeah.
Get Chuck Norris for that.
Oh, Jesus. At this point, let's get Fighting Machine and
RoboCop.
Yeah, like, since they do like to do everything WCW and WWE used to do, yeah.
It's rehash. So, yeah, one last note before we move on to WWE stuff. New Japan is going to be doing their G1 tournament starting on September 19th. But normally G1 has two brackets, an A pool and a B pool. And when A pool wrestles, B pool is the undercard doing tag matches and stuff like that, and vice versa. When B does it, A does the undercard matches. But because of COVID, they're going to be changing that up. And the pools are not going to cross over at all during this until probably the final match with the winners from each pool. And so it looks like they're going to probably rely on some of their juniors to fill in the blanks of the tag matches and matches in between the tournament matches. Any thoughts on G1? Because I know, Jonesy, you like the New Japan wrestling.
I do like it. I probably won't watch it, but I do like the New Japan.
I'm actually quite excited for G1, and I like the idea of the brackets staying separate. I would hope this would be something continuing into the future where you don't see the crossover, and you get to have your junior heavyweights and your young lions get some exposure with big names. So I'm kind of excited. I'll watch it like I always do on a delay. I tend to let it build up for a week and catch up all in one chunk. But
as opposed to being up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person.
Shocking.
It's not. It's a bad thing that I'm up at 7 o'clock most mornings, Monday to Friday. Yeah, no.
So moving on to some WWE news before we get to the big move happening tomorrow night. It came out yesterday that Renee Young has apparently given her notice to leave WWE. She's expected to work this weekend for SummerSlam. And beyond that, it's unknown where she's going to end up landing from here. Some think AEW, where Jon Moxley, her husband, is. Others are thinking she could end up in ESPN or Fox News. Unfortunately, she was underutilized in certain areas, exposed when she got put into Raw commentating because she had Vince in her ear, and a 3-person booth is just not so good. So they hung her out to dry on that one. Then they got her backstage on Fox, but with the pandemic and low ratings, that show got canceled. So unfortunately, as talented as she is, and she's been around for a while, I was surprised at how long actually she had been working for them after she left Sportsnet. Looks like our days with Renee Young are done. Thoughts on that, guys?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I'm guessing she's going to get an offer from ESPN, but here's my concern. She's going to end up in AEW. She's going to be the backstage interviewer, and it's just not going to be.
Or they put her in a match situation or storyline because of Moxley.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd love her, and this is me being selfish. I'd love her to come back to like a Sportsnet or a TSN so I could see her every day because she actually can talk sports and it's actually kind of entertaining. But I assume the thing is, if she ends up at ESPN, she can still dabble with the WWE, like how ESPN has that relationship.
Coach, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even over at Fox.
Yeah, but I'm guessing she's going to end up with AEW, and it's just another, and I hate to say this, ex-WWE employee going on over to AEW to make it WWE light.
Yeah. So WWE also said that they'll be no longer allowing touching of fans and talent during autograph signings and stuff like that. That also had, if you saw it on Facebook, some lovely pictures of fans getting a little too touchy-feely with some of the female talent, and you could just see the grimace on their face as they're trying to force a smile. So that's not going to happen anymore. And I guess it's coming at a good time because a gentleman named Philip Thomas was arrested after breaking into the home of Sonya Deville this past weekend. Apparently he parked his car, got into her estate, waited till after dark, and broke in at like 2:45 in the morning. And it startled Sonya and her guest, which apparently turned out to be Mandy Rose. And they quickly got out of there, called the police. But when he was caught, he had some mace, handcuffs, zip ties, a knife, tape, and everything. And yeah, he was just obviously not planning on having tea or anything with Sonya and Mandy. And he's now being charged with stalking and a bunch of other charges.
Well, yeah, that's like a kit for the CSI investigation unit there.
Yeah. Thankfully, I guess she had an alarm on her house in Florida, or things could have turned out a lot worse for both of them.
Yeah, it was. That's scary.
Yeah, fans can take it too far, and the worst part is
that's not a fan, though.
I don't understand as well this fan's mentality either, because if he was going after Sonya, he doesn't realize that she's a lesbian. Like, he's not going to get anywhere with her. Like,
let's not justify anything. He's mentally unstable.
Where is his
hence the zip ties and all that?
Yeah, he was going to kidnap and hold them hostage or something, and it's like, for what reason? What is your thought process behind this.
There ain't no thought process.
Yeah, clearly it's really out there and dumb. Last thing before the move is that last Friday, AJ Styles introduced a ranking system on SmackDown for who could be a contender for the Intercontinental title. And of course, his whiteboard said that he's the best and nobody else deserves one. Jeff Hardy came out, and that turned into a fight that's going to happen tomorrow night, Jeff against AJ. But the key note on that whole segment was the gentleman that was brought in as the statistician was Joseph Parks. Chris Park is his real name, but that's Abyss making his on-camera debut for WWE. Do you like this idea? I think he's 46 or something like that. He can still probably go, but I think he's basically retired, and that's why he's working backstage as an agent. But he now has an on-camera persona as Joseph Parks, and being associated with AJ, another TNA guy. Do you see anything going forward with Abyss or Joseph Parks, or is this a one-off a sidekick to AJ?
I think it's a short-term storyline to get people to pop, and I think this is a red herring for the Retribution stable group. I think we'll see them maybe this week, but I can't see them. If they were going to bring in Abyss, he would have done it when he signed as an agent, talent, whatever, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, but at the same time, desperate times calls for desperate measures, as the roster really thin right now, and that's why they're using Joseph Parks' character, or is it just for the AJ story?
It's just for the AJ story, because if you're going to bring Abyss back, you have a built-in – you put him with Wyatt, The Fiend, and that's a built-in – keeps him relevant and doesn't have to wrestle a lot. So I think it's a very short-term – because to me, Abyss fits in with The Fiend. You could have had him as one of his followers. Abyss doesn't have to – you put him in tag matches and stuff. Abyss, being older, doesn't have to wrestle, take as many bumps. I mean, I think it's going to be very short term. I think it gives – I would love to see Abyss have one match in WWE.
And sadly, he could have had that years ago when they tried to bring him in to go against Taker at WrestleMania, and he said no and stayed with TNA to be an original.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see one match just so –
he might do a rumble.
Well, that's I'm thinking.
When they do the 70-man Royal Rumble,
over in Saudi Arabia.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see if it's still around how you do a Royal Rumble
on this light roster.
Well, not even just that.
You're not allowed to have more than 5 people in the ring. It's kind of like the video game where it maxed out how many you could have in the ring until one was thrown out.
Well, that's what I mean. You can't have, how there's always that one spot in the Rumble where there's
12 people thrown out.
Yeah, you just won't have that. Okay, we got to hurry up. I got 15 minutes before I got to go.
Okay. So the last thing is the fact that the WWE Performance Center is being moved out, and they're going to the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, starting tomorrow night with the ThunderDome. So they just did some testing of it today, and Steven has stuff up on his screen. You can see how people are there in the arena, and you can end up being a part of the show. You just have to sign up in time. But
what was that sale at Walmart for?
Reactions. It looks like a video game. So a new era of WWE is coming up, starting tomorrow. Lasers, pyros, drone footage, you name it. We'll have to see what happens on that. And it's going to go forward for at least the next 2 months without fans there. And they're hoping that that's going to bring back ratings, Meanwhile, I think they need to look at what they're putting out in the ring more so than just their visual presentation that way. And
I think the visual presentation will help.
Oh, yeah. I've also heard that there's a thought that Shane McMahon might take over lead writing of Raw, which won't be so bad because as much as I'm a Bruce Pritchard fan, he's being spread out way too thin doing both shows. Yes. And this brings us, since we have 15 minutes, NXT TakeOver predictions. It happens this Saturday on the WWE Network, and we'll run down the 6 matches that are here, including a number 1 contenders match for the tag team titles. Breezango, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch taking on Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza in a 3-way tag team match. Any idea who you have for that?
I assume it's going to be Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. I would love to see the Joaquin Wilde and what's his name?
Raul Mendoza.
But I assume it's going to be Burch and Lorcan since they would fit into that like a storyline with Imperium. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah, that would fit against Imperium. Maybe even just do Breezango. But yeah, eventually I do see Wilde and Mendoza getting it because then their stable will have at least 3 titles because their leader, I can't think of his name at the moment,
Santo Escobar.
Yeah, Escobar has the light heavyweight title or the cruiserweight title. Then we have Finn Balor taking on Timothy Thatcher. And that got announced last night. Thatcher is quickly becoming a force in NXT, but he's also going against the first ever Universal Champion.
I'm saying Timothy Thatcher, he needs the win, and especially against an established star like Finn Balor. I mean, I want to see Balor get back into the main event picture on a Raw or SmackDown, but I think this would put Timothy Thatcher on the next level.
Yep. My thought is Thatcher as well. Balor, as established as he is, doesn't really need the win, and Thatcher is starting to get a name for himself. Then we move on to the women's title. Io Shirai takes on Dakota Kai.
Oh, it's Io Shirai wins this. They only gave her the belt, 2 months ago?
Yeah, Takeover in your house when she ended up getting it off of Charlotte.
To me, it's Io Shirai. She just doesn't have it long enough.
Well, the only way I can see Dakota Kai winning is, and I might even just pick her right now, is that Io Shirai goes up to the main roster and is paired up with Asuka as the new Kabuki Warriors, and they do need a tag team to go against the Golden Role Models the following week at Payback.
My thing is, I just don't. I get it. I'm kind of hoping to see Io Shirai versus Rhea Ripley.
Understandable, but Ripley's caught up with everything going with Robert Stone and Aaliyah. That moves us on to the ladder match for the currently vacant North American title. It was vacated by Keith Lee after he won the NXT Championship. No need to hold on to both belts, somewhat like Warrior did when he beat Hogan. And that has us with Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Velveteen Dream, Cameron Grimes, and Damian Priest all contending for the belt.
I want to say Cameron Grimes just because I think he's an amazing talent, amazing wrestler, or Damian Priest just because that's who I'd go. I'm going to go with Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, at the end of last night's show, Bronson Reed had the title in his hand after a brawl, but I think that's also again a red herring that always happens with WWE. That you think, oh, that guy's got it, and that's the last person that's going to have it. Velveteen Dream returned and is heel, but you have Johnny Gargano in there. Tough call. I might go with Grimes as well. I like that idea. He's deserving of it at this moment, and he can still feud with Damian Priest going forward or somebody like that. Then we have Adam Cole taking on Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is a guy from ESPN, probably the only guy that people would be able to cheer Adam Cole for to kick his ass, because nobody likes Pat McAfee. Since I first saw him show up on WWE TV, I've hated the guy and wanted to turn the channel, and now he's in a match with Adam Cole.
I'm going Adam Cole because you can't have you shouldn't have a football player, and I'm being generous because he was a punter, come in and beat Adam Cole, who's probably your best talent. But here's
my longest reigning NXT champion.
Here's my thing. If Adam Cole loses, you know he didn't sign a new contract. That's your giveaway.
Yeah, no,
you're embarrassing his way out.
I think he's signed and he's going to be staying around, and this was their way of turning him face for a run. Way, there was nobody else you could really turn him face with, but going forward, he can go against other heels after he gets rid of McAfee.
Thing is he's pretty much should be moved. That whole Undisputed Era move up to the main roster anyways. So I haven't heard that he signed, but I think that's McAfee supposedly has been training for a while now under Rip Rogers, so hopefully he's got some sort of skill.
And Triple H said he looked good in the ring, so we'll have to wait and see. And the main event sees the NXT champion Keith Lee defending against Karrion Kross, who will have Scarlett in his corner. There was a fireball thrown in Keith Lee's face when he opened up the contract to sign it last week or 2 weeks ago. And so this is the main event. Keith Lee.
I got Karrion Kross winning. I think, as much as I love Keith Lee, should be up to main roster soon anyways. Also, I prefer him to chase Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross they've set him up to be a killer.
Killer Kross.
Exactly. And I'm thinking you put the title on Kross, you then have if Adam Cole is truly a babyface, you have Adam Cole can chase. You have Finn Balor. You have people. I assume Karrion Kross wins, and then I'd assume Keith Lee's moving up to the main roster.
They need him.
Yeah, and I think Karrion Kross is up to the main roster by
Rumble.
Yeah, by Rumble.
Yeah, Keith Lee, deserving of the title, but could be just that transition champion that they put in place to give fans the goodwill of feeling Keith Lee getting the belt and now moving forward.
And NXT's never really had that transitional short champion. Everyone's had that title for a run. So, and Karrion Kross is like, you just sit and watch him from the entrance right through. I'm a big Karrion Kross fan, so I think he wins.
And that brings us over to Sunday with SummerSlam. That's going to be happening at the Amway Center in Orlando. And let's start off with Mandy Rose against Sonya Deville. We just talked about them having their harrowing experience with the stalker. Hopefully they're in a good mindset to work on Sunday. But this is going to be a hair versus hair match. Sonya Deville recently attacked Mandy and cut her hair. Does she get the job done, or does Sonya come out a cue ball?
I assume this match doesn't even happen. Based on the fact that Sonya Deville was deposed today, I don't expect both of them to have the capacity to wrestle, and I don't blame them. If the match does happen, Mandy Rose wins because you can't have the heel always loses the hair versus hair, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess we'll end up ultimately seeing ultimately see what happens tomorrow on SmackDown if they show up on there. Then Asuka is not only challenging Sasha for the Raw Women's title, she's also challenging Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. Does Asuka pick up any of those titles, or do Sasha and Bayley retain?
Sasha and Bayley retain.
And then go on to defend their tag team titles at
Payback. They'll lose the tag titles. I don't see them losing the singles, the women's singles.
I can see one of them losing their title, and I see it being Bayley because she's been losing a lot lately, and that would make her possibly the jealous one. Because ultimately they are setting up for Sasha versus Bayley again.
I still think it's too early to set that up, though.
Yeah, because they've been dominant on TV for a while.
Well, you want to set that up for when fans are around.
Yeah. Tag team titles are on the line as Angel Garza and Andrade challenged the Street Profits. It was revealed that Zelina Vega did the poisoning.
I think you got new tag team champs, Garza and Andrade.
I think so as well. They need to shuffle it up a bit.
I also think you have someone come in to join Vega's group. I'm not sure who, but another Latin star.
The U.S. title is on the line as MVP challenges Apollo Crews.
I've actually got MVP winning this match. I think it will help the Hurt Business. I think it gives a rematch in a week at Payback because I think there's a screwy finish. I think you have MVP win, and then you have some sort of lumberjack or something match the following week at Payback. MVP or Apollo Crews versus MVP for the title again.
I see Apollo retaining and defending the following week against Lashley, and Lashley picking up the title.
It's one of those
Payback. Then we have the Fiend challenging for the Universal title against Braun Strowman, and they've had a lot of interaction with Alexa Bliss and the possibility that Braun is in love with her, but no, he says he has no feelings for her.
I say the Fiend wins, and I think we actually finally get Sister Abigail.
I hope the Fiend wins. I hope Alexa is not Sister Abigail. That they do something and bring somebody else in as that, and it's been a swerve, and whoever it is takes out Alexa, and Braun does actually reveal that he does care for her.
Nikki Cross,
maybe, but I hope it's somebody we haven't seen. Rey Mysterio is going to be in the corner of his son as he makes his debut all these years later after Rey retained the guardianship or parentalship from Eddie in a ladder match. But he's going to take on the guy who took out his dad's eye, Seth Rollins, in a no-holds-barred match.
I think Dominic wins. I think it's the wrong choice that Dominic's going to win, but I think Dominic's going to win. Seth Rollins should win, but I thought it was only Dominic can use whatever. Dominic's going to win because it set it up way too well for Dominic not to win, especially after the 30 caning lashes.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ray is signed, obviously, to keep his son there. With the no-holds-barred street fight sort of aspect to it, that's going to allow Murphy to get in there, Ray to get in there, maybe a return of Aleister Black. There's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors covering up for the lack of experience of Dominic.
Okay, hurry up. Let's go.
And our final match is for the WWE Championship. Randy Orton challenging Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre. Don't pull the title off of him. He needs a run with fans. Okay, bye, guys.
See ya. I do see Drew McIntyre, unfortunately, losing. There's a lot of talk about Randy Orton getting the title to defend against Edge when Edge is able to come back. They've been building up Randy as a killer, unfortunately. And Drew's title reign has been absent of fans to know whether he's a good champ or not. I've enjoyed him in that regards, but the ultimate win that he had at WrestleMania was tarnished by not having fans there. I think if they set it up properly, that Drew can get it back when there is fans around, and that moment feels a lot better and momentous for him. So that's SummerSlam. That's happening Sunday. I believe there's a pre-show at 5 o'clock. Main show at 7. They're going to go all out because it's another major event instead of their B shows. And that's what's happening on that front. WWE Network, check it out this Saturday for NXT TakeOver. So, Jonesy, do you plan on watching any of these shows?
No.
Okay.
No, more likely not.
Just see highlights of it so you can...
Yeah, like I'll go on YouTube the next day and watch, the bigger matches. But
there'll be highlights as soon as they are done or through the match, because WWE can't help themselves but expose themselves that much. Instead of allowing people to be on and watch it, they just give it away. So we were, due to timing, we skipped over this week in wrestling, and that's your section, Chris.
All right.
What happened this week in wrestling?
Well, I'm going to start from August 14th and work my way to today's date. Back on August 14th, 21 years ago, WCW presented their last Road Wired pay-per-view in Sturgis. This event would be replaced by New Blood Rising. On the 15th of August, 16 years ago, Randy Orton won the World Heavyweight Championship in Toronto at SummerSlam.
I was there for that one.
Yep. August 16th, 34 years in Philadelphia, the Rock and Roll Express defended the Midnight Express 2-1 in a best out of 3 falls match to win the NWA World Tag Team Championship. And the Rock and Roll Express are still going today.
They were just recently on AEW.
Okay. Oh, wow. 16 years ago, Evolution turned on Randy Orton on Raw in London, Ontario. We were there for that as well. 10 years ago, at a Raw taping in Los Angeles, Sheamus defeated Zack Ryder in just 11 seconds to retain the WWE Championship. I think that's still a record for the fastest WWE Championship match. At least it was 4 years ago. It was. August 7th.
Backlund and Diesel after Survivor Series would have been like 8 seconds.
But that was for the WWF Championship.
Okay. That makes
or this is the fastest on a Raw. Could have been the fastest on a Raw.
Possibly.
Let my cat out. There we go. Oh. August 17th, 10 years ago today, at SmackDown taping, Alberto Del Rio and his personal ring announcer, Ricardo, both made their WWE television debut 10 years ago. I thought that was a lot longer. Actually, when I read that, I had to look it up to make sure that was true, because it just seems like he'd been there much earlier than that, but he hadn't. August 18th, Clash of the Champions saw Fred Ottman do a face plant, and the rest is history. Poor Tuggers, man. That was a rough night for him. Also on August 18th, 24 years ago, at a pre-warm-up match at SummerSlam, Yokozuna lost the match trying to do a banzai drop on Steve Austin, and the ring ropes broke. I remember ordering that pay-per-view to watch it.
Hard to believe that Steve Austin was on a pre-show at that time.
Well, I think at that time they didn't quite know what to do with him, but having him take on a guy like Yokozuna and winning the way he did, I don't know. I think it was the right thing to do. And Austin, the promo he cut afterwards, just putting Yokozuna down, was just fantastic. And then August 20th, 57 years ago, in Minneapolis, Crusher and Dick the Bruiser defeated the Carmel Cops to win the AWA World Tag Team Championships. 24 years ago today.
That knowledge will come in handy for next week's Fantasy Warfare tournament, because Crusher and Bruiser are actually in the first round against the Hart Foundation.
Yes, they are. And I'm trying to think who I have winning that match. And 25 years ago was the Cactus Jack Terry Funk no ropes exploding barbed wire match. And to finish everything off, 14 years ago today, WWE presented SummerSlam. It featured the final WWE match of Hogan. So there you go. That is a week in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, so a lot of things happened in August. It's nice to look back at some of these, and I think when we have more time to spend on these moments, we can share thoughts and everything about that. But fans need to pay attention to some of these events, because some of this knowledge might be needed for a special trivia show. Want to tell us about that, Chris?
Sure. So close my door again. My cat keeps going in and out. The Wrestling Trivia Game Show. It's on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube. And if you just put in Scumbags, you'll see you can find us on our Facebook page. We have 2 episodes there now, and there'll be another one tomorrow. And then another one more than likely on Monday. We might even fit in a short game show in there with some SummerSlam questions. But yeah, I've got a lot more done. I'm ready to record more episodes. So need people. Or it's just going to be you against the world.
Yeah, apparently. So if you're interested and want to try and beat me in Chris's Wrestling Trivia Challenge, then please contact either myself or Chris. And you can be a part of that. We'll get you on there, potential for prizes, and much more as time goes on. But also, another show that you are a part of is the Fantasy Warfare Tournament. And this past week, we went through, or yesterday, we went through the second part of our 64-person tournament or team tournament. And the Dudley Boys came out on top to meet up with the Midnight Express, and they won the first week. So here's a preview of what to expect next Wednesday. Okay, we're having a few difficulties on that one. Gotta love the learning
Wow.
new technology. Yeah, everybody.
Does the Rock and Roll Express look freaking old in that?
Yeah, well, they were just on AEW the other day. Just to give a rundown, because I have the actual list right here. The Heart Foundation is going to take on Bruiser and Crusher. Miracle Violence Connection against the Rock and Roll Express. The Motor City Machine Guns taking on the APA. The Brainbusters against the Rock and Sock Connection. New Age Outlaws take on the Briscoe brothers, who can also do body work. Jerry and Jack Briscoe. Hybrid 2 taking on the Outsiders. Lucha Brothers taking on Road Warriors. And the Bullet Club, or the Good Brothers, taking on the New Day. So next Wednesday, 6 p.m. on our YouTube and Facebook pages, you can check out our rundown of bracket number 3 to see who joins up with the Dudley Boys and Midnight Express. This one's going to be a hard one. Last episode had a lot of families in there. This one has a lot of mixed teams put together. So we'll see who comes out on top and takes it. Most people might even just looking at that say the Road Warriors going all the way. But there might be a team that is better than them that on paper will surprise you. We'll see what happens as it unfolds. But that's happening next Wednesday on there. And yeah, just want to make sure everybody tunes in, whether they're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. They can also listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever else you get your podcasts from. And finally, one last reminder, as you saw Steven wearing the shirt, you can buy your own Scumbags Wrestling shirt supporting independent wrestling, and it has 22 stars of the Ontario wrestling scene, including the Pillars, Carter Mason, the King of the North, Casey Spinelli, the Wild Child, Joey Threat, Alexia Nicole, students from the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory, including Jordan James, Alec Realm, Violet Lee, Kyle Boone, Shiloh, and many more, plus Halal Beefcake, Kevin Bennett, Kevin Blackwood, Daniel Garcia, you name it, they're on there. $30 for the shirt, $15 for a 11x17 poster. All the money is going to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto for Curie malformation research. It's part of Steven's wrestling journey. You can check out Steven, who is a huge wrestling fan, just turned 9 years old. He has his own page. He can talk smack like anybody else can. Check out his page on Facebook and support a great cause. Get a brand new merchandise as things start opening up. You can go to shows with a brand new shirt and know that you helped out in the long run. Anything else you want to add before we sign out if you're Jonesy?
Not that I can think of, no.
Okay, so until next week, we will see you again.